Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Halos and Heroes. I am back with a new Tim Minchin video entitled Not Perfect from the Sydney Opera House. Without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it.
This is my earth, and I live in it. It's 1/3 dirt and 2/3 water, and it rotates and revolves through space at rather an impressive pace, and never even messes up my hair.
That's funny. We're talking about how impressive the Earth is, and the juxtaposition, the vanity to think that your hair matters to the Earth whatsoever is very amusing. It also looks like it's very hot with those lights on, and as always, his piano playing is beautiful. Let's keep going.
Here's a really weird thing. The force created by its spin is the force that stops the chaos flooding in. This is my earth, and it's fine. It's where I spend the vast majority of my time. It's not perfect,
Where he spends the vast majority of his time. So he must hang out with Elon Musk and every once in a while. I'm kidding. Let's keep going.
But it's mine. It's not perfect. This is my country, and I live in it. It's pretty big and nice to walk on, and the bloke who runs my country has built a demagogy and taught us to be fearful and boring.
Yeah. It's sad, we have this beautiful place to live and function and be better people. And yet there is a political element that tries to step in, and not just in Australia but worldwide. I mean, the news here in the U.S., for instance, is all about fear-mongering and separating us by race and class and socioeconomic division. And it's sad. It really is.
And the weirdest thing is that he is conservative of politics, but really rather radical of eyebrow. This is my country, and it's fine. It's where I spend the vast majority of my time. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's not perfect. This is my house, and I live in it. It's made of cracks and photographs we rented off a guy who bought it from a guy who bought it from a guy whose granddad left it to him.
See, and I bet when the house was first purchased and constructed, it wasn't, cracked and whatever. It was in good condition. But, as life goes on, deterioration happens, whether it's within ourselves, physically, emotionally, mentally, all the safeguards that we build up. I like how you mentioned the eyebrows earlier. I didn't miss that. Because again, we're going back to these very vain topics, hair and eyebrows. And yeah, I mean, he may have great eyebrows and that's cool, but in the grander scheme of things, the things we are most concerned about ourselves, what we consider our biggest flaws, most people don't notice. We just become so self-conscious about it that I don't realize how self-conscious I am about it until I find out that no one even noticed or cared.
And the weirdest thing is that this house has locks to keep the baddies out, but they're mostly used to lock ourselves in. This is my house and it's fine. It's where I spend the vast majority of my time. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's not perfect, but it's mine.
One thing that I learned over the last few months is the concept of progress over perfection. Nothing in our life is ever going to reach a state of perfection. It's just not. And it doesn't have to. I just need to know that what I'm doing for the right reasons, not to impress others or to gain approval or to people please, but because it's what I want. And as long as what I'm doing is productive, then it's okay. And if I make a mistake, that doesn't make me a failure. It just is a mistake. And I learn from it and I move on. That's all I can do.
This is my body and I live in it. It's 31 and 6 months old. It's changed a lot since it was new. It's done stuff it wasn't built to do. I often try to fill it up with wine. And the weirdest thing about it is I spend so much time hating it, but it never says a bad word about me.
I was not expecting that curveball. But yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of my life trying to fill up the cracks and the voids with anything that I can find to make myself feel more human. But I never realized, in a matter of speaking, our body doesn't ever say anything to us. Now as I've gotten, I'm 44, but I've noticed that, the physical pain is there now, my shoulders and my back and whatever. And I think that's probably the only way or time that my body actually complains about all the things that I've put it through.
This is my body and it's fine. It's where I spend the vast majority of my time. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's not perfect. This is my brain.
Before we go into the brain, and really quickly, I want to point out his ability to emote and express through physical features and the non-verbal cues that he gives off are as much a part of the song as the lyrical content. The tone of his voice, the pitch that he uses, is very emotive in this song, and I really, really like it. He is a genius on the piano. If you haven't seen some of my other reactions or seen others of his videos, I would highly recommend going and checking them out. I did his graduation speech a long time ago, and even if you don't check out my reaction, I would check out the graduation speech. It's amazing. So I did rewind a little bit, but let's go into the brain, see what happens.
This is my brain, and I live in it. It's made of love and bad song lyrics. It's tucked away behind my eyes, where all my fucked up thoughts can hide. 'Cause God forbid I hurt somebody.
That, on the surface, seems very simple. And yet, if you go back and listen to some of his older songs, you will know that this man has absolutely no problem offending anyone. None. The lyrics speak for themselves in some of the older songs, and I don't think that he has bad lyrics ever. I think that his lyrical construct in his head is just completely different than what most people are used to or expecting in much the same way that like King ISO or Hobson or Eminem come up with these absolutely insane schemes where on the surface you're like, what is he talking about? But then when you really dive into it and you realize, oh my gosh, there is a valid argument to be had here. It's very eye-opening.
And the weirdest thing about a mind is that every answer that you find is the basis of a brand new cliche. This is my brain, and it's fine. It's where I spend the vast majority of my time. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's not perfect. I'm not quite sure I've worked out how to work it. It's not perfect, but it's mine. Thank you.
That was such an amazing song. Wow. Genuinely impressed, as always, with him. That song hits deep. And I get it. The thing about rehab is that you don't go there to fix yourself. You go there to learn ways to cope and deal with life in a more productive way. I think that's where I failed myself the first couple times, is because I was there for a cure. I was there for an instant fix. And what I have learned is that life isn't about instant fixes and cures. Treatment isn't about instant fixes and cures. It's about acknowledging that some of these things will never go away and learning how to handle them more constructively, how to cope with them, how to process them in a different way than I used to with drugs or alcohol, whatever. So make sure that. But as always, guys and gals, thank you for being here. This is Halos and Heroes. I love you. I care. You're not alone.